All right, let's get some reaction now. The Democratic Alliance spokesperson and Member of Parliament is Solly Malatsi, who joins us now. Mr. Malatsi, good evening to you. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that the removal of another party's election posters or defacing them is a criminal offence, punishable by a fine. Are you involved in criminality as the Democratic Alliance?
Good evening, Solly, and to your viewers. Solly, we are a law-abiding party. We are not in the business of defacing or removing people's posters. We do not believe in doing illegal things. So the MK and that fellow from Newzroom is being highly creative. He must establish who are the culprits that are responsible for what he claims. No one who represents the DA would ever have a mandate to deface or damage other people's posters.
Yeah.
We know how costly posters are, and we know that in addition to that, the removal or interfering with other parties' posters is an illegal act. And as a law-abiding party, we would never do that.
So let me ask you
here we
this.
have an instance of...
Sorry to cut in. Is it the first time, therefore,
problem.
as the Democratic Alliance that you hear of this accusation?
We have never heard of this accusation before. And it is really surprising to us because, as I indicated, we are a law-abiding party, Solly, and we know, based on the experience that we have had as a party that has, in previous election, even including this election, where our posters have, suddenly disappeared on spots that we had placed them, and subsequent to that, seen other parties' posters emerge, that we would never do anything like that. It is against the spirit of everything that we represent as a party, and we would never do anything like that.
Let me sway the conversation then to another important matter. The leader of the DA wrote an opinion piece yesterday in the Sunday Times newspaper where he claimed that the reason South Africans are not experiencing load shedding, today, by the way, marks day 26 of uninterrupted electricity supply. And he says that this has to do with political pressure from the ANC for Escom to keep the lights on. Do you have proof of this? Because the chairman of Escom has come on this show yesterday to rebut that. Where is the proof of what your leader was talking about in the newspaper yesterday?
Well, it is fair argument to argue, as the leader of the DA has argued, that it is surprising that in this period, in the lead up to the election, there has not been any load shedding whatsoever. And given what has been happening in previous occasions where the country has had unparalleled levels of load shedding, it is really surprising. And the only beneficiary of not having load shedding now for political gains is the current government. And that government is the government of the ANC.
Are you against the country having uninterrupted power supply if Escom says that this is based on discipline as management in order to ensure that, which, by the way, has ensured that the maintenance at these power stations has been done to such a point that the performance of these power plants is at a level where they can afford to not have load shedding for extended periods like we are experiencing now?
We are saying that it is highly suspicious that in a time that is leading to an election, we suddenly have prolonged periods without load shedding when previously this hasn't been the case. And in that suspicion, we're saying that all the evidence shows that it is to the benefit of the ANC politically when there isn't load shedding, because they know very well that the damage that load shedding causes on everyday life and the frustrations that South Africans have with the ANC's government and mishandling of the country's energy crisis is a big thing that can affect their electoral prospects. Therefore, that's what informs the DA leader's statements with regards to that.
Well, so let's conclude it. Well, the timing may be highly suspicious, Solly, but here's the point. On the election posters, the defacing or stealing of them, you are saying that that is tantamount to political mudslinging because you as the DA are not involved in such acts. What you are doing now, without bringing any proof, is tantamount to political mudslinging towards the ANC because you are accusing them of putting pressure that these plants be run at the risk, by the way, of them breaking in a manner that we have previously seen, particularly in winter months. Because you are here saying that it's highly suspicious, but you have no proof.
No, Cody. I think you're trying to compare two incomparable instances, right? The reality here is when you compare this time last year and even on previous occasions, the country has gone through prolonged periods of load shedding, right? And we know, let's be real for a moment here. Load shedding has had the ANC politically, and given the ANC's manipulation of state-owned enterprises and government resources, it has done this to ensure that load shedding does not become an issue that voters can use against them in this election. Hence, there hasn't been load shedding up to this instance. And what we are saying is, if this was the case, where was this disciplined maintenance 3 months ago or 6 months ago when the country was going through the unprecedented levels of load shedding?
Well, I'm certainly not going to speak for the ANC nor Escom, but what I can tell you, which was said by your leader, wait, what your leader said is that part of his reasoning for arguing in this manner is that Escom has delayed publishing the budget for the 2024-2025 period. The chairman said, actually, that particular budget has just been approved, and I guess it's only a matter of time before it is published. So, again, there is no evidence from your end to back up the claims by John Steenhuisen.
Totally. The chairman did not deny that it has been delayed. He said it's just been approved. And let's also interpret that. What is the timeline of that? I mean, I think it's also incumbent on you to also be robust in engaging that part because they missed the timeline of that. And when he says it is just been approved, it is just a convenient way of just, spinning because he can't accept it on a national broadcast to say that is the case. But the facts are there.
Well, he did say that this was approved last month, this budget. He said it was approved last month. I think those were his exact words. So it's not just.
Yeah, but you said it's just. But the key thing is the timeline. That approval was beyond the expected natural timeline that it was supposed to. Is that not a delay when something happens outside of the natural timeline it's supposed to?
Solly Malatsi, we're going to have to leave this conversation there. Thank you very much for your time. The spokesperson for the Democratic Alliance, also a member of the National Parliament.